A thin winter sun hung low over the hospital grounds, casting long shadows across the cracked asphalt. The air was cold enough that every breath came out as a pale cloud. Amanda stood near the edge of the lot, hands shoved deep into her coat pockets, eyes fixed on the street beyond the fence. She wasn't pacing. She wasn't trembling. She was still. The kind of stillness that comes from someone holding too many thoughts in place at once. Eric jogged across the lot toward her, his breath visible, his expression tight with worry.
You said it was urgent. What happened?
Amanda didn't answer immediately. She kept her gaze on the street, scanning every passerby, every parked car, every shadow. Finally, she spoke. Low, controlled.
I saw someone last night. In the square.
Eric frowned.
Someone? Who?
Amanda hesitated, not because she doubted herself, but because she knew the weight of what she was about to say.
A man. Tall, calm. He moved like he knew exactly where he was supposed to be.
Eric's expression shifted, recognition flickering behind his eyes.
What did he look like?
He was dressed in a dark coat, determined. He scanned the surroundings and the ground like he was reading invisible signs.
Eric's face drained of color.
I've seen him. At the hospital. He was asking questions.
Amanda finally turned to look at him.
What kind of questions?
About Daniel. About the night of the... whatever that was. He didn't say who he worked for, didn't show ID, just watched everything.
Amanda's jaw tightened.
He's not local, and he's not here by accident.
Eric swallowed hard.
You think he's dangerous?
Amanda didn't answer right away. She looked past Eric, toward the hospital entrance, toward the place where Daniel lay, unconscious, vulnerable, exposed.
He's looking for something, and he's getting closer.
Eric stepped closer, lowering his voice.
Amanda, what aren't you telling me?
Amanda's eyes flicked to him, a brief, sharp look, full of things she couldn't say.
It's safer for you if you don't know.
Eric exhaled, frustrated, but trusting her more than he trusted his own fear.
So what do we do?
Amanda looked back toward the street, her breath steady, her posture tightening like a bowstring.
We stay ahead of him. We watch him. We watch everyone. And we don't let him get near Daniel.
She stepped away from him, eyes scanning the horizon with the precision of someone who had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. Amanda didn't know how much time they had, but she knew this. The man in the square wasn't just a threat. He was a warning. A reminder that the world she had tried to leave behind had finally found its way back to her. And Daniel was running out of time. The square looked different in daylight. Quieter, emptier, stripped of the shadows that had concealed so much the night before. But the air still held a faint tension, like a cord stretched too tight. The union agent stepped into the square with the same unhurried precision as before. His coat moved lightly in the cold breeze. His eyes were calm, analytical, taking in every detail without appearing to look at anything at all. He wasn't here to repeat last night's work. He was here to confirm it, to measure the drift, to follow the echo before it faded. He crossed to the fused patch of stone again, the scar left by Daniel's displacement. He crouched, touching the surface with 2 fingers. A faint vibration pulsed through the air, different from last night. Weaker, but still present.
Decay rate. Slower than expected.
He withdrew a small, flat device from his coat. Not the rod from last night, but something broader, with a thin strip of light running along its edge. He held it low to the ground and swept it in a slow arc. The strip flickered. Once, twice, then steadied into a soft, pulsing glow.
Resonance trail confirmed.
He stood, turning his head slightly, not toward the hospital, but toward the direction of the hospital, as if following a scent only he could detect. He tapped the device once with his thumb. The light shifted from blue to white.
Proximity increasing.
He slipped the device back into his coat and began walking. Calm, deliberate, inevitable, toward the street that led to the hospital. He didn't need to run. He didn't need to search. The trail was clear now. The echo was stronger. The subject was close. He crossed the street without looking back. And for the first time since he arrived, the agent knew exactly where he was going. The engine room hummed with a low, steady vibration, the kind of sound that usually calmed Trevor, grounding him in the familiar rhythm of machinery and metal. Today, it only made the air feel heavier. Trevor knelt beside an open access panel, tools spread out neatly beside him. He stared at the tangle of conduits and junctions inside, trying to focus, trying to remember the sequence Cullen had asked him to check. He lifted a hand toward the wiring, then froze. A faint pulse rippled through his chest. Warm, insistent. Not his. Daniel. Trevor swallowed, forcing his hand to steady.
Let me do this, please.
Another pulse, sharper this time, like a nudge. Trevor blinked. His fingers moved almost on their own, reaching past the conduit he'd been aiming for and touching a different one, a junction he hadn't even noticed. He frowned.
No, that's not.
A sudden flicker of insight hit him. A connection, a pattern, a solution he hadn't seen a second earlier. Trevor's breath caught.
How did you know that?
Daniel didn't answer, not in words, but the warmth in Trevor's chest shifted, like a quiet affirmation. Trevor exhaled shakily and adjusted the wiring exactly as his hand had been guided. The engine hum changed pitch, smoother, cleaner, almost relieved. Trevor sat back on his heels, staring at his own hands as if they belonged to someone else. He had fixed the problem, but he hadn't been the one who found it. Trevor pressed a hand to his chest, fingers curling into the fabric of his shirt. You can't just do that. You can't take over. A faint tremor ran through him. Not fear, not exactly. Something closer to dependency. The terrifying comfort of not being alone in his own mind. He closed his eyes.
I need to work. I need to stay in control. Just let me try.
For a moment, there was silence. Then, a soft, warm pulse. Not a push, not a takeover, just presence. Trevor let out a shaky breath. He reached for another tool, and this time his hand moved where he intended. But he could feel Daniel watching, waiting, ready to help, ready to act. Trevor didn't know if that made him safer or more vulnerable than ever. Not maintaining full control had always been the greatest risk of his undercover life, the one thing he could never afford to lose. He leaned back into the panel, trying to focus, trying to pretend the work was his alone. It wasn't. The corridor lights flickered softly as Evangelina shifted power between systems. The ship felt restless, Metal creaking, conduits humming, the faint vibration of engines warming for departure. Trevor stepped out of the engine room, wiping his hands on a rag. His movements were careful, deliberate, as if he were trying to match a rhythm that wasn't entirely his. Pamela rounded the corner at the same moment, nearly bumping into him.
Whoa, sorry.
Trevor forced a small smile.
It's fine.
Pamela studied him for a moment. Really studied him. Her eyes narrowed slightly, not in suspicion, but in concern.
You look different today.
Trevor stiffened.
Different how?
Pamela shrugged.
I don't know. Quieter, more centered? But also like you're a million miles away.
Trevor swallowed, trying to keep his breathing steady.
Just tired.
Harry, I've seen you tired. This isn't that.
Trevor's pulse quickened. Inside him, Daniel pulsed too, a sharp, defensive flicker. Trevor winced, pressing a hand briefly to his chest. Pamela noticed.
Are you sick? Did something happen out there yesterday?
He shook his head too quickly.
No, nothing happened.
Daniel pulsed again, harder this time, like a warning. Trevor's breath hitched. Pamela's eyes widened.
Harry, talk to me.
Trevor forced himself to straighten, to breathe, to push Daniel's presence down just enough to speak.
I'm fine. Really. Just trying to keep it together until we leave.
Pamela didn't believe him. Not for a second. She reached out and touched his arm. Gentle, grounding.
You don't have to pretend with me. If something's wrong, I want to know. I want to help.
Trevor's throat tightened. For a moment he almost told her, almost let the truth slip out. The fear, the presence, the voice that wasn't a voice. But Daniel pulsed again, a soft, urgent flicker. Not hostile, not possessive, just afraid. Trevor closed his eyes.
I can't. Not yet.
Pamela let her hand fall away, but her expression stayed warm, steady.
Okay, but I'm here. Whenever you're ready.
Trevor nodded, unable to meet her eyes.
Thank you.
Pamela gave him a small, sad smile and stepped past him, heading toward the cockpit. Trevor watched her go, the corridor suddenly feeling too narrow, too bright, too loud. Trevor wasn't lying when he said he couldn't talk about it. He wasn't ready. And Daniel wasn't ready to be seen. Inside him, the echo curled inward, small, frightened, listening. Trevor pressed his back against the wall, breathing slowly.
I'm trying. I'm really trying.
Daniel pulsed once, soft, apologetic. Trevor closed his eyes. He didn't know what frightened him more, the loss of control, or the strange, unspoken sense of responsibility he felt toward the presence inside him.